Today we're doing something a little different. I'm going to show you a hobby of mine, wood carving. Today I'm carving a little figure in wood. This here is a mushroom, but that's not what we're going to do. This one is a warrior, an archer, a long-range fighter. And here we have a swordsman wielding two swords, ready to charge into combat. I think this is more like it. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose my piece of wood. I've got quite a few here to choose from, all of them 1 inch by 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters, which is a bit smaller than the mushrooms I've already carved. They're more like 3.5 centimeters wide and 6 centimeters tall, but we'll make do. The actual measurements don't really matter. The wood is linden if you're in Europe. That's basswood for all you Americans out there. I'm drawing a rough sketch of what I want to do, but I'll decide most of the details and exact placement and ratios while carving. I'm not good at drawing. I mainly do it to generate some quick ideas of different poses or weapons, but I'm not going into any sort of detail for these figures. I'm stropping the knife on a piece of leather loaded with honing compound before I begin. The knife probably isn't as sharp as it could be, as you can see, but sharpening it on a stone wouldn't sound so nice on video, so I'm saving that for later. I always remember my carving glove. It's going to save me from lots of cuts and a sore thumb. Now, let's get carving. For starters, I'm rounding down the cap of the mushroom, slowly getting a nice circular shape, and then I'll move downwards from there. So, while I do that, let's find out who exactly is this guy? Now, he's a mushroom, except he's alive. And how did he get that way? Well, it probably happened a long time ago, maybe as the result of random genetic mutations that started to spread because it made it easier for the mushrooms to survive the dangers of the magical forest and its many enemies, both human, plant, and animal. Or maybe it was a magical event somehow that, by the flick of a switch or a wand, made the mushrooms living, sentient. My mushroom folk don't have a head. They don't have eyes or a mouth or ears or a nose, though I imagine they still somehow have the ability to sense the world around them very clearly. Perhaps they have some sense of smell and hearing. Perhaps they pick up on electrical impulses of the living world around them and use that to navigate. carvings don't have legs, but they obviously still need to be able to move around. Otherwise, they wouldn't have much use of bows or swords. A simply connected root-like structure underground called mycelium. Now, obviously, mushrooms aren't animals, so they don't have legs, and they're not plants, so they don't have roots. But what they do have is mycelium, and that can grow to span thousands of acres underground. Maybe these guys move around using this root system like a branching railway track in a way that's connected but also flexible. And this way, they could have hive mind-like abilities. They can take advantage of each other's sensory input and communicate. Not exactly telepathically, but through the root network. Sometimes mycelium form a bond with the roots of a tree and forest and grow to a so-called mycorrhizal network, a symbiosis of plant and fungus, which allows for both parties to take advantage of the possibilities of transporting nutrients and communicating across vast areas. If there is danger approaching from these, they can warn each other and flee the area or prepare for battle. More likely the latter. These mushrooms are fierce and they're skilled with their weapons. Of course, you can come across many things in nature, both friendly and not so friendly, and it certainly seems like these mushrooms have encountered some not so friendly creatures. But who exactly are they fighting? Humans certainly don't venture out this far in the deep, dark, magical woods, so it must be other creatures. Mutated mice or rabbits, perhaps, or overgrown insects like beetles, slugs, and snails, slithering through the mud of the dead leaves on the hunt for the most nutrient-rich prey they can find, kill, and consume. Blue jays hunt them as well, and against their sharp beaks, the shield of this mushroom warrior will be extra effective. And the archer, he can act as an anti-air defense, protecting the tribe from harm from above. But as above, so below, and their colony could also be attacked by earthworms from time to time, especially after a heavy rain. In the real world, some mushrooms are edible and some are poisonous. In this magical world, poison is obviously an effective weapon against predators, and these warriors will certainly all be poisonous. Some may even emit a toxic cloud of particles when their soft skin is pierced by a beak, a claw, or a tooth. In this way, they protect themselves and give their tribesmen a chance to help them retreat back to security or even eliminate the predator while they're incapacitated. I'm carving the gills of the mushroom. This is where the spores are produced and dispersed from the mushroom. The mushroom itself is the spore-bearing fruiting body of a fungus, meaning all mushrooms are fungi, but not all fungi are mushrooms. In fact, fungi are their own separate kingdom, distinct from plants and animals. They can be single-celled and microscopic like yeast or molds, or they can spread far and wide and live for hundreds of years in enormous underground systems with many sprouting mushrooms growing from the same fungus. For example, as seen in fairy rings, large circles of mushrooms that you can come across in nature. Now, the carving is complete, so it's time to add the final surface details, a bit of oil and acrylic paint. The shield I'm leaving wood colored because I have other plans on how to decorate it. I'm going to carve a pattern into the shield, a sort of very simple coat of arms. And why not have it be a mushroom? Then I just have to decide the actual shape of the thing. The method I'll be using is called colorosing, It's a Scandinavian, specifically Sami, traditional way of decorating wooden objects. I've mostly seen it on wooden spoons where it's used to create intricate woven patterns. What you do is carve a groove directly into the wood, maybe a millimeter or two deep, and then rubbing a colored powder, spice, or natural pigment mixed with oil into the groove. For this one, I'm using ground coffee beans. You simply rub this into the grooves and then seal them by burnishing the surface, meaning rubbing it vigorously with smooth stone, bone, or a piece of metal like the back of a spoon. The shield he probably crafted himself, for while some venture out on adventures with only a bow or dual-wielding 2 swords, I think this one likes the thought of the extra protection the shield affords. He will not blindly kill everything in sight, and he will not die trying to defeat an enemy if he knows he's outmatched. Luckily, in that case, his friends will probably sense the danger to be isolated at work and come to his aid. The colors I've chosen are inspired by the Amanita phalloides, or death cap, which is a deadly poisonous mushroom with a pale green cap and a white stipe, or stem. In fact, it's the most poisonous mushroom in the entire world, so I figured it would fit this guy. I'm painting the sword in metallic silver, and I'm not diluting this one nearly as much because, as I just tested on a little practice piece, you don't really get the same metallic effect when you water it down. The warrior sword is obviously shining metal, but was it forged by a master fungal blacksmith, or perhaps looted from a halfling intruder, or pulled from a mysterious stone sitting deep within the forest? Why don't you let me know down in the comments? I would love to get your take on this particular mushroom lore and the video format in general. I'm concentrating the green paint on top of the cap and diluting it more and more towards the edge where it bleeds into the white of the gills. The final step was to add some shadows between the gills and in the dark recesses of the mushroom with a watered down mix of brown and black. The paint isn't sealed, so it muddies the whole thing a bit, but since it's living its whole life on the forest floor, I think a bit of dirt and grime is only fitting. I even decided to add little streaks coming up from the bottom. I've been carving little figures on and off for years now. I don't pretend to be any good at it, but whittling is a fantastic little creative activity that allows me to keep my hands busy and mind focused. And in the end, I have a little thing to show for it. And there you have it. The mushroom warrior is complete. A fearsome little fungal body armed with a sword and a shield. Now, thanks for watching, everyone, and take care.